fort. Et Lorraine, les plus bas.
On laisse, à droite, à touche. On laisse,
Yara Yéhi Kalodoma. Le boss Gérard Louboussou. Le président Emmanuel Mamou.
Chini ya uongozi wa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, uwekezaji mwafaka umefanywa katika ukarabati na ujenzi wa viwanja vya ndege nchini tangu mwaka wa 2013. Wiki hii kwenye Project 254,
hatutaweza kuinua hali ya maisha ya wananchi wetu bila infrastructure.
Other than even Kenya Airports Authority improving on the airport facilities, infrastructure, we are also arriving faster than before.
Nataka kushukuru Rais Uhuru Kenyatta kwa kutuletea mradi nzuri kama hii hapa Isiolo, mradi wa Isiolo International Airport. Tumepata hapa employment.
Nilipoanza kukohoa, kuhisi maumivu kwa kifua, uchovu mwilini, joto jingi mwilini, kutokwa na jasho jingi usiku, kukosa hamu ya chakula na kupoteza uzito haraka. Nilipimwa hospitalini, kabainika nilikuwa na TB.
Nilianza matibabu ya TB mara moja. Nilimeza dawa zangu bila kukosa kwa muda unaofaa, kama nilivyoshauriwa na daktari.
Ugonjwa wa TB sio uchawi. Mtu yeyote yule anaweza kupatwa na ugonjwa huu, lakini ukimeza dawa vizuri, TB inatiba.
Nilitibiwa TB, nikapona na niko sawa.
TB inatiba. Pata matibabu bila malipo katika hospitali zote za umma. Tujijali, tumalize TB. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Wizara ya Afya na washirika wake.
Good evening, welcome to Prime Edition. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now, tonight's bulletin is packed. We will be talking a lot about prices in business. The government is going to investigate producers who have decided to just hike up the prices. We have that story for you. Also, Parliament on fertilizer, and in sports, Munga is coming up shortly with all the action. But first, let's have the highlights. Answered prayers. Legislators threaten to paralyze passage of mini budget if fertilizer prices are not subsidized. Musical chairs. Politicians crisscross parties to establish base. Race to death. Tragedy as 26-year-old dies in police recruitment exercise. And nowhere to hide. Motorists may now have to pay toll charges on selected roads. Lensa Odingo is our interpreter today, and remember, we would like to hear for you. Send us your feedback, and some of the stories that we have tonight in the business section are actually from your feedback. We do take your feedback quite seriously. You can send us messages on our social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Now, moving on to a story that I had highlighted earlier, the National Assembly Agriculture Committee now wants the President to intervene and reinstate the 5.7 billion shillings for subsidizing fertilizer that has been plucked off from the supplementary budget. The MPs have taken issue with the Treasury for failing to release funds for protecting vulnerable farmers from skyrocketing prices of fertilizers. And as our parliamentary reporter Geshuku Washira reports, the legislators have threatened to paralyze the passage of the mini budget scheduled for next week.
Treasury is on the spot for removing from the supplementary budget 5.7 billion shillings allocated for subsidizing fertilizers. National Assembly Agriculture Committee had requested the funds be availed in the mini budget that is currently in Parliament, so as farmers can buy a bag of 90 kgs of fertilizer at 3,000 shillings. Currently, a fertilizer bag of 90 kgs is trading close to 7,000 shillings.
Farmers are desperate, farmers are waiting, farmers know there is a government. Why isn't the government protecting the farmers in this country? That is the question we are asking.
According to the information I'm getting, is that the government does not want to put money there just because of some corrupt individuals who have done something wrong before. Instead of dealing with them, now they're punishing Kenyans.
Or is someone doing this one deliberately by design so that he imports maize to this country? We're having issues, Chairman.
The government attributes the increased prices of fertilizers to rising gas prices in Europe and ongoing war in Ukraine. Agriculture Chief Administrative Secretary Lawrence Omuhaka informed MPs that the 5.7 billion shillings requested will offer subsidies on 114,000 metric tons of various types of fertilizers for 910,000 farmers. The ministry, however, requires 31 billion shillings to maintain the prices of fertilizers at about 3,000 shillings.
Actually, farmers are really suffering, like Honorable Chair, the way you have said. So we are hoping that this money will be released now that the committee approved, and then it was put in the supplementary budget.
The MPs have now threatened to frustrate the passage of the supplementary budget if Treasury fails to reinstate the allocation of fertilizer subsidy. Geshuku Washira, Prime Edition.
And now to politics, where Kajiado Governor Joseph Ole Lenku has ditched the ruling Jubilee Party for Orange Democratic Movement, ODM. Speaking at Chungwa House while receiving Ole Lenku, ODM leader Raila Odinga assured residents of Kajiado County that if elected, his government will invest in the livestock sector. He said he will also invest in productive strategies to empower the pastoral communities.
On Thursday morning, Kajiado County Governor Joseph Ole Lenku led several professional elders and political aspirants to Chungwa House. Here, Ole Lenku will leave his former political vehicle Jubilee to board the Raila-led ODM as he seeks re-election for the Kajiado gubernatorial seat on August 9th. Defending his defection move, Lenku said the ground in Kajiado had shifted in favor of Orange Democratic Movement ODM, necessitating the changes.
I wish, therefore, to say I have heard the voice of my people, I have taken their instructions, and I have together with them moved to ODM.
Leo Kajiado tumeamua, na unaona kwa nyuso zao kwamba watakuwa nyuma ya baba na nyuma ya Governor Lenku katika maendeleo ya Kenya.
While receiving Ole Lenku, ODM leader Raila Odinga has assured residents of Kajiado County and its environs that if he ascends to power on August 9th, he will invest in the livestock sector and learn productive strategies to empower the pastoral communities.
Tutabadilisha haya ili kama wewe ni mfugaji, tunachimba mabwawa, wakati mvua inakuja tunavuna maji ya mvua hiyo, ili kama ukame inakuja sasa kwa maji ya kutosha. kwa matumishi ya ng'ombe zetu na mifugo zetu zote. Alafu vile vile tunaweka ile malisho ya ng'ombe, kama nyasi hakuna, iko malisho ya ng'ombe.
Odinga further claimed he will upgrade Kenya Meat Commission plan to build its capacity to benefit more farmers.
Kwa hivyo uchumi wetu ya Kenya imeathirika kwa sababu ya usimamizi mbaya. Lakini tunaweza kubadilisha haya yote ili uchumi ya Kenya inuke kwa upande ya mfugo, kwa upande ya kilimo, kwa upande ya viwanda, kwa upande ya biashara. Yale yote tunaweza kuinua.
Other political leaders present drum up support for Raila's presidential bid, describing him as a leader who will unite the nation.
Anyone still doubting that Raila Amolo Odinga will be the 5th president of Kenya, please start believing. Because if you look at the past 2 general elections and you study the pattern, you will see that Raila has not lost any votes. But instead, he has gained a lot of votes. People who did not vote for him in 2013, those who did not vote for him in 2017, a lot of those votes have come to Baba's side.
Tuko Azimio, tunaheshimu partners wetu, lakini tutajenga ODM.
Lenku's defection comes a few days after former Governor David Ole Kedianyi defected from the ODM party. Meanwhile, the Jubilee Party Secretary General Jeremiah Kioni has called on members of parliament and senators belonging to 2 parties to resign.
We are happy that we have the resignation letter from Wamatangi. We want to encourage others to do the same. And I want to again tell you clearly that if you belong to 2 parties at the same time, that is an electoral offense. It's against the code of conduct. Itakufarisha hii ya kusema ya kwamba sasa wewe tumekutuma kule.
Among those that were received in Jubilee Party's former Nyeri women representative Priscilla Nyokabi, who will be running for Nyeri senator position, and former managing director of Agricultural Finance Corporation AFC Lucas Meso, who has thrown his hat in the ring to run for gubernatorial position in Busia County.
Here is an Azimio zone. Have no doubt about that. We are going to deliver this seat for you.
Away from politics now, where a male youth who reported for the one-day countrywide recruitment of police constables collapsed and died during the exercise in Matayos constituency, Busia County. According to James Leila, a recruiting officer in Matayos, the deceased Johnston Elijah Ochieng, aged 26 years, collapsed after running the required 4 laps. Leila said that the deceased was rushed to the nearby Busia County Referral Hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival.
The 26-year-old Kenyatta University student Johnston Elijah Ochieng collapsed after running 4 laps at the Busia County Stadium. Wilson Ochieng, a relative to the deceased, stated that Ochieng had no known illnesses and the families are waiting the post-mortem which will reveal what could have caused his death.
Alikuwa anaitisha maji, tukaambiwa maji sio nzuri kumpa. Kwa hiyo harakati polisi walileta gari ya polisi na ikamchukua kimleta hospitalini. Isipokuwa wakati tulifika hospitalini tukaelezewa kwamba mpendwa wetu kashaaga dunia.
The body has since been taken to St. Francis mortuary. Meanwhile, in Malindi County, a young man was rushed to hospital after collapsing during a police recruitment exercise conducted at the Alaskan grounds. Robert Masha, who had emerged 22nd in the 15-lap race, experienced blood vision and eventually collapsed after the exercise.
Robert Masha, tumeona ameshindwa hata kusimama, ameshindwa hata anaona giza. So we suspect maybe inaweza kuwa ni ugonjwa wa kawaida ambayo si wa kawaida ambayo we cannot handle it here. So we decided to wait gari ya police ikiwa na some officers to assist that particular boy ili aende apate matibabu zaidi. So far he has been rushed to the hospital. They are waiting for the medical outcome.
In Limuru, the exercise was characterized by low turnout with only few young men and women participating in the exercise.
So far, the exercise has been smooth, though the turnout was a bit low. I don't know whether the information did not get to them on time, or it's just that maybe they were not interested in the work.
In the newly constructed Idhanga sub-county, the police recruitment exercise happened for the first time in the region. The exercise took place at Kitharani Stadium at Idhanga location, where hundreds of youth from 5 locations, namely Mukeu, Idhanga, Kakuzi, Nanga and Ndudhwa turned up to participate in the exercise.
Kwa sababu tumepata this new sub-county, other departments as well will be recruiting from the sub-county. Kwa hivyo tungependa kuwaambia wananchi wetu wajue ya kwamba services zote za serikali ziko hapa, ofisi ya DCC iko hapo Kaguku, na kazi yote inaendelea kama inavyofaa kuendelea katika sub-county.
For Prime Edition, I am Brian Mwindi.
President Uhuru Kenyatta has directed the Ministry of Transport to collaborate with St. John Association to train at least 200,000 boda riders on first aid skills to boost the country's first responder capacity. The president also directed the Ministry of Health to establish a framework of cooperation to co-opt 26,000 volunteers from the St. John's Priory to strengthen primary health care, emergency preparedness and response to intervention all the way to the community level.
The head of state spoke on Thursday at All Saints Cathedral in Nairobi County when he attended the investiture ceremony at St. John, Kenya. President Uhuru Kenyatta commended the association for its exemplary service to the country. He urged government to train 200,000 boda riders on first aid.
Under a program with the Ministry of Transport, we shall collaborate with St. John to train at least 200,000 boda riders on first aid and structured approach to major medical incidents to boost first responder capacity in our country.
He also asked the Ministry of Health jointly with the National Treasury and the Attorney General's Office to formulate amendments to the St. John Ambulance of Kenya Act that will deepen the partnership between the state and St. John by providing a framework for exchequer support to the association.
And in order to fortify the growing partnership between the state and St. John, I today hereby direct, firstly, that the Ministry of Health establishes a framework of cooperation to co-opt 26,000 volunteers from the St. John Priory to strengthen our primary health care and emergency preparedness and response interventions all the way to community level.
We consider the Order of St. John as a partner in the healthcare system of our nation, and the spirit of volunteerism that has permeated from St. John has now taken root in the Ministry of Health through community health volunteers and other workers who we appreciate and recognize.
31 members of the association were awarded for their service and sacrifice towards making the lives of Kenyans better.
After this bulletin, we will be airing a documentary on the boda industry. You do not want to miss that one. Now, moving on, Deputy President William Ruto has said his bottom-up economic model aims at empowering the common mwananchi economically. Ruto, who was in Tana River County, once again protested at what he termed as a plot by some quarters in government to impose the country's next president.
The deputy president led the Kenya Kwanza team on a vote hunting mission in Tana River County Thursday. Here the leaders insisted that Kenyans should be left to elect the president without any intimidation.
Mimi nauliza nyinyi watu wa Tana River, wale wako kwa mahoteli na maofisi ndio wataamua ama nyinyi ndio mtaamua? Wale wako kwa mahoteli na maofisi ndio kusema ama nyinyi ndio kusema? Kwa hivyo hakuna haja ya kwenda kwa Azimio.
Ukienda huko wewe ni kama kupe ambayo inashika ngozi na ng'ombe ilichinjwa kitambo.
The leaders saying Kenya Kwanza government will focus on empowering Kenyans economically.
Lakini serikali tunataka tutengeneze tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8. Ni ile serikali itaweka pesa kwa mfuko ya mwananchi wa kawaida.
Na ile kura mtapiga italeta rais mpya anaitwa William Samoei ambaye anaelewa shida ya mwananchi wa kawaida.
This as former Kakamega Senator Boni Khalwale and the current Senator Cleophas Malala agreed to work on a common front to win the senatorial and gubernatorial seats respectively.
Na nimesema ili mjue kwamba I am serious. Vile nilikuwa nawania kiti ya governor, nimesema kwa heshima kubwa wote tushike Cleo mkono tumpigie kura awe governor.
This man made a sacrifice for me. Mheshimiwa Boni Khalwale, I want to say thank you so much. Asante sana. Mambo ya ugavana ya kaunti ya Kakamega is a very serious thing. Mimi nimejitolea kwa umri yangu kukomboa watu wa Kakamega.
The two who spoke in Kakamega town promised to upgrade the county to the next level of development.
The Director of Public Prosecution, Nudin Haji, has asserted that his office will not bow down to intimidation and threats while executing his mandate. Speaking in Nairobi during a stakeholders meeting on formulating guidelines tailored at bringing consistency in the prosecution of election-related offences, Haji said they will be guided by facts and evidence.
With only 138 days remaining for Kenyans to go to the polls, stakeholders in electoral justice gathered in Nairobi under the aegis of International Commission of Jurists to develop guidelines to streamline the prosecution of election-related offences, including economic crimes committed in the context of elections. Other crimes include hate speech, gender-based violence, cybercrime and computer misuse. It is here that the Director of Public Prosecution, Nurdin Haji, emphasized the need for all election players to work together to ensure a free, fair and transparent election.
The purpose of this compendium is to try and bring certainty, to try and bring uniformity, to also emphasize on the rule of law and due process.
Haji, whose officers often come under accusations of politicizing the war on graft, sought to set the record straight.
As ODPP, we will continue to execute our mandate in accordance with the rule of law, without fear or favor, and guided by facts, evidence, and the law.
While lauding the judiciary for appointing 118 magistrates to deal with election offences cases, he urged them to expedite the hate speech cases.
This is a great boost to our collective preparedness for elections. In the same spirit, I call upon all other agencies to embody the principles of coordination, collaboration, and cooperation in their strategies to safeguard the rights of the citizens and hold persons who commit electoral offences accountable.
The Commission hopes that the collaboration must be sustained. It is also our hope that the guidelines that are the subject of validation today will go a long way in enriching the framework for top-notch prosecution of election and election-related offences.
Law Society of Kenya President Eric Theuri called for actualization of Chapter 6 of the Constitution on leadership and integrity.
And so we must begin to have this conversation and ask ourselves, as the various institutions that are mandated to implement and protect Chapter 6 of the Constitution, what can we do to ensure that the candidates that go before the voters are candidates that have high integrity, that reflect the values and aspirations of Chapter 6 of the Constitution.
Other key players in the forum were the Independent Electoral Boundaries Commission, the National Cohesion and Integration Commission NCC, the Independent Police Oversight Authority IPOA, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission Witness Protection Agency, Law Society of Kenya and the Registrar of Political Parties. Timothy Kipnusu for Prime Edition.
Motorists may now have to pay toll charges on selected roads. That story and more coming up shortly after the break.
On My Culture this Friday, get to know more about Shilembe, a ceremony that ropes in bullfighters in honor of a dead hero or warrior in Western Kenya.
Welcome back. It's now time for business. Motorists may now have to pay charges for selected roads as the National Parliament inches closer to adopting the Committee on Delegated Legislation Public Finance Management National Road Fund Regulations 2021 recommendations. While debating the recommendations, a section of MPs said toll fees will assist the national government collect additional revenue for infrastructure development and reduce borrowing.
Major roads across the country will be tolled in the near future as Parliament inches closer to adopt the Public Finance Management National Road Fund Regulations 2021. Among other proposals, the bill seeks to toll major roads in the country in what Parliament says will generate additional revenue for the government.
The only road that will be done through PPP is a road to Mausame. There is talks of other roads being developed through that model. And when that is done, then the recovery of the investment can only be through the tolls.
Parliament says the toll fees will be used to maintain existing infrastructure and construction of additional roads in the country, while reducing the government urge to borrow for development.
The road tolls do support the exchequer, and most developed countries have managed to maintain their roads through road tolls. Therefore, it is a bill, it is a report which is worth looking at and being adopted by this House because of the support the road tolls give to the exchequer.
The legislature says it will also attract more investors who seek to construct toll projects, enhancing a public-private partnership as an alternative model of financing in infrastructure development.
The fund and the regulations make it possible for public-private partnership road tolls to be implemented in Kenya, Mr. Speaker, as it gives visibility of the toll revenues and certainty in governance practices to investors as a key bankability requirement.
If Parliament adopts the road toll fees regulations, the Ministry of Transport will have powers to toll any public infrastructure. Ndota Mokami for Prime Edition.
The government has defended its stand against declaring Safaricom a dominant player, saying that the telco has lost more than 20% of its market share in the last decade. Information Cabinet Secretary Joe Musheru has told a Senate committee that Safaricom's annual termination fees stands at 1 billion shillings against 300 billion paid by the industry in interconnection fees payouts.
The Communications Authority of Kenya has proposed to cut mobile termination rates to 0.12 shillings from 0.99 shillings, saying it will benefit consumers and ensure business continuity for network providers. MTR is the price that a mobile telephone operator charges another mobile operator for terminating its off-net calls on its network, and its reduction is expected to give small operators price flexibility.
The authority observed that due to the current imbalance of off-net traffic volumes in a quarter of about 1 billion shillings is paid out amongst operators as interconnection fees. The net beneficiary is Safaricom, that received 883 million.
ICTCS Joe Musheru has told the Senate Committee on Information and Technology the tariffs reduction and competition in the country's telco space do not display dominance tendencies by any market player.
Okay, so basically what CA is telling us is that it, other than the network cost studies or other things like that, it has no mandate to level the field in this respect, other than let the small players, the Musheru and the Bshiro players, to just fend for themselves, even when there is such a big infrastructure already in place. Is that what it is?
That is not true. There's already, as you've seen, studies were done and they determined what the MTRs are.
According to the Communications Authority, termination rates are not meant to be income-generating streams, but cost recovery mechanisms.
The question as to whether this has led to monopoly or not, I'd like to perhaps clarify that the essence of interconnection is actually to provide leverage to the mobile operators to reduce the retail rates they charge to the customers. It has not, in any sense, perhaps contributed to a monopoly.
The Competition Authority of Kenya says its analysis on the impact of a review of termination fees on industry players was based on their revenues, levels of profitability, and sustainability. According to the watchdog, lower voice termination rates would facilitate greater retail price flexibility, which should facilitate a reduction in overall price levels for mobile service benefiting customers.
The Communications Authority determined that the MTR rates should now be 12 cents, down from the 99 cents, and that was meant to be effective in January 2022. And a public notice to that effect was published.
Small players had requested a review on the current MTRs to at least 0.15 shillings to enable them to offer discounts as low as those offered by Safaricom, while still managing their profitability.
Now, the government will investigate producers over the recent commodities price hikes in the country. The Competition Authority of Kenya says in spite of the global shocks that have seen prices of most commodities surge, the authority is probing local producers who may have engaged in price gouging the cash in on the unprevailing economic situation in the country.
According to the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, food inflation rose by 0.83% to 8.69% in February this year. The rise in inflation was due to increased prices of basic commodities such as cooking oil and maize flour. However, the Competition Authority of Kenya says some producers might be taking advantage of the global events to increase prices unfairly.
I can't say the prices are justified, but the fact that the prices has been increasing give us an opportunity to go deep further and find out what are the causes of price increase. If the product is sourced from outside the country, from Russia or from Ukraine or other countries, then we have to look at the volume of imports and how that has been relating to the past imports.
The regulator says it plans to carry out a survey on producers' production costs and give recommendations on appropriate commodity prices to protect consumers.
We can investigate, we can do screening and find out what are the facts on the ground in terms of why the prices are increasing. That's an area we can come in and find out if price increases are justified.
This comes when the common market of East and Southern Africa have been tipped to reduce tariff and non-tariff barriers to increase intra-regional trade to offset wheat deficits occasioned by the Eastern European War.
It opens our eyes as Africa that we should focus more on homegrown solutions. And homegrown solutions include homegrown agricultural foods.
The Kenya Revenue Authority plans to introduce smart gate technology to curb the high cases of smuggling along the Kenyan-Ugandan border. KRA says the project will take at most 3 months to complete once installation begins. Wycliffe Oketch reports from Busia County.
The smuggling menace has been a major issue at the Kenyan border post. The problem has not only denied the government revenues, it has also destabilized local prices of basic commodities. However, the Kenya Revenue Authority says with the introduction of a one-stop border post, the problem is almost solved.
Mainly, we used to have these items hidden in the container, but now with the scanners, we are able to see that very clearly and work on it. And we are seeing that the number of smuggling activities is going down.
The authority also says the introduction of the one-stop border post concept has significantly increased revenue collection from around 400 million per month to about 4 billion at the 3 one-stop border posts in the Western Kenya region.
10 years ago, we were at 400 million per month. Yeah? And right now, immediately after the one-stop was launched, we saw a rise from about 1 billion to 2 billion. And now we're at 4 billion. So you can see that the project, because of the fast clearance of goods, because of the aspects of non-intrusive verification methods, like the scanner, where we're able to see concealments, and we're able now to collect the extra revenues which are there, we've been able to get more revenue. So the revenue has grown tremendously.
To further eliminate the menace, the authority plans to introduce the smart gate technology to complement the already expanded verification yard at the Busia one-stop border post.
The project itself will take 3 months once the tender is given out. So we envisage that this thing will start in the month of May or June, and it will take 3 months afterwards for that project to be complete.
The project, which is in the preliminary stages, is funded by Trademark East Africa and will be complete in 3 months' time once a contractor is onboarded.
The Kenya Revenue Authority is adamant that the rollout of the Smart Gate project will go a long way in combating illegal importation as it seeks to maximize on revenue collection and protection of local traders. Wycliffe Oketch, Prime Edition from Busia Boda.
Now, imagine driving at night, enjoying the cool temperatures of Njoro sub-county. Then, in the middle of the road, you bump into a huge high-voltage utility pole carrying electricity. Well, sounds scary, I know, but that is exactly what happened to the residents of Njekeri town in Njoro, Nakuru County. According to the area residents, the pylons have caused many accidents and plead to the Kenya Power and the Kenya Rural Roads Authority to relocate the power lines have fallen on deaf ears.
Potholes and trash are major sightings on many roads in Kenya. Even hippos and elephants crossing the road may not be a jaw-dropping issue in many parts of Kenya. But encountering a huge pylon in the middle of the road without warning can scare even the toughest hard-headed driver. But this is the reality of Njokeri sub-county. Authorities' apathy or their ignorance to realize the serious risk these poles pose to the lives of the drivers is to blame. The Kenya Power and the Kenya Rural Roads Authority have both failed to remove them.
Tunaumia, bagari zenyewe hata kukuja huku ni shida.
Residents of Njokeri now say the poles are like invincible ghosts at night, as incidents and accidents involving bikes and cars have become common.
We are headed on a rainy season and trucks pass through this road, and as a result, if a post is knocked down, we are faced by potential death. So we are asking the Kenya Power and the government to intervene.
The state of affairs has prevailed for the last 20 years when the road was duly gazetted. At least 800 small-scale traders of Njokeri in Njoro sub-county want relevant authorities to remove the 50 high-voltage power lines precariously towering in the middle of the road.
These posts have been here, and as a result, we don't have any grader to repair this road, which can come because obviously there is no accessibility for the repairing this road.
Kenya Power Central Rift Manager Henry Pwani says the utility firm is not aware of the complaint, but they are working with Kenya Rural Roads Authority to reroute the road to allow the utility to work on the power line. But for the residents of this quiet farming town of Njokerio, hope and faith remains their last point of solace. Reporting for Prime Edition, I am Teresa Mutai.
The retail food sector is slowly emerging from the COVID-19 stress that led to the closure of eateries and hotels. Industry players say the sector is recovering from the pandemic, though the tense global politics are likely to stagger its quick recovery. The Africa Packaging Organization says players in the industry should come up with innovative ways to stay afloat and devise new tactics to win customers.
The hotel and the hospitality industry has been one of the hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, which has led to job losses and the closure of various establishments. The Africa Packaging Organization says players should innovate and develop new pricing mechanisms to stay afloat.
In the second half of 2021, there's some sense of recovery. There was the lifting of the restrictions of movement by the government, and because of that, various sectors went back to normalcy, specifically and in particular
The pandemic has sparked an automation surge among food and beverage processors as modern technologies now allow hospitality businesses to comply with new rules and standards. The president of the Africa Packaging Organization, Joseph Nyongesa, says the sector is working towards ensuring that safe and resilient packaging measures are implemented.
The main purpose is to showcase the technology that is around food. And as a packaging institute, we are very concerned about packaging to make sure that the food that is produced in this country is well contained, well protected, and can be able to move from the point of production or manufacturing up to the point of consumption in a very safe way. And the products, the foods can also reach international markets. And normally packaging supports products to move over geographies. They can move from here to UK or to China and arrive there when they are still fresh and safe.
The Food Expo agenda is also focusing on B2B, B2C platforms that will enhance food security. The Food Expo runs from Wednesday 23rd March to Friday 25th and aims to showcase technological advancements in the hospitality industry, as well as present opportunities for showcasing the strides made in regards to food packaging. Ndutamo Kame for Prime Edition.
Nilipimwa hospitalini, kabainika nilikuwa na TB.
Nilianza matibabu ya TB mara moja. Nilimeza dawa zangu bila kukosa kwa muda unaofaa, kama nilivyoshauriwa na daktari.
The first step to happiness is falling in love with yourself.
Naomi Wamboi Ng'ang'a is a Kenyan actress and entrepreneur.
Nikauliza kama wako na nguo za plus size watanipeleka maternity side. I want to create a business that caters for the plus size women all around it. Talk of hair, everything, one stop shop for plus size women.
Pata matibabu bila malipo katika hospitali zote za umma. Tujijali tumalize TB. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Wizara ya Afya na washirika wake.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
And welcome back. You're just in time for Magical Scenes. Now, the Maasai community is famous and well known globally for their unique culture and tribal dress. The community is among the foremost African ethnic group famed internationally for preserving their culture. Tepeswa Eco-Cultural Center in Narok County is rich in culture and wildlife products that are ideal for visitors interested in understanding the Ma culture and the community's unique bond with the wildlife and vast Masai Mara National Reserve. Tonight on Magical Scene, Irene Muchuma travels to Narok County to unpack the Ma community and their rich heritage.
Located in Goswani along the Mara Sekinani Road in Narok County is Tepeswa Cultural Center. The destination has brought together a section of women from the Maasai community to share knowledge on the preservation of the community's culture and ways of averting human-wildlife conflict.
Trying to conserve the environment by protecting the forest or the trees. Instead of cutting the trees, we've used the natural plants you have seen. But inside our cottages, we have modified them.
Tepeswa neighbors the world-famous Masai Mara National Reserve. The community here takes pride in helping visitors understand the uniqueness of the Maasai culture, on top of taking visitors on a game drive within the fauna and flora rich Masai Mara. A walk around Tepeswa Cultural Center will give you an opportunity to understand the Maasai way of life.
We have a song when we are going to slaughter the cows, the sheep. We don't cut, but we suffocate, and we have a song that we do pray. We are not killing as a punishment, but we are suffocating and we are eating as our favorite food, and it's a food that God has given us.
The center is eco-friendly and it is built using natural materials such as cow dung, savanna grass, local trees and shrubs. To boost their revenue and uplift their livelihoods, Tepeswa encourages women from the area to produce artwork for sale from natural products. The area is fast becoming popular with both individual and corporate visitors frequenting the center to sample what it has to offer. Irene Mchoma Odim, Magical Sense in the county of Narok.
Now, did you know that you can raise funds for specific causes securely through a digital platform in the comfort of your mobile phone? That is how corporates and individuals crowdfund to help their communities. Tonight on Tech One, Alan Oko looks at technology that is digitally empowering communities, one cause at a time.
The Central Bank of Kenya estimated that Kenya's level of financial inclusion was in 2021 at around 85%, up from 27% back in 2007. Thus indicating Kenya's substantial inroads in empowering communities through simplified grassroots financial campaigns. Despite this, however, communities still grapple with simple tasks such as funding their social projects or managing their small businesses.
Most businesses are not yet digitized, but if you look at the value brought about by digitization, it's tremendous, it's huge. So basically it's just the same.
Meet Eleutherius Juma, the CEO of local startup Payland, who believes that technology through mobile applications can go a long way in uplifting many from poverty. For example, activities like crowdfunding.
Basically how it works, it's Changisha helps individuals and organizations to collect funds, to raise funds for the causes that they have. For instance, if an organization wants to raise funds to feed maybe a group, a population in Wajir, Mandera, Samburu, or any other cause that they want to support. It might be building a tank for a specific community.
Curious about who's behind the technology? In the back end, mobile apps have also proven to be a viable employer, with most youth taking up technical roles in the process.
We have also employed several sales representatives on the ground, where basically these are energetic youth who represent our brand on the ground.
What I do is that I develop the algorithms and models that are supposed to automate some of the tasks that we do here. That is gathering the KYC data, going through it and identifying the users and being able to give them their credit limits and something like that.
Most Kenyan startups like Payland have leaned towards the youth attracted by their talent and eagerness to work. But for the ecosystem to thrive, players say more needs to be done from the government level.
So I believe that the government needs to create avenues, especially for entrepreneurs, both young and old. Age does not matter, but so long as we have an avenue where entrepreneurs can come together and discuss the challenges that they experience, with the support from the government, this will be very helpful.
What about budding founders of future enterprises and notable startups of our times?
Alan, if you come to me and tell me that you have an idea and you tell me your idea and you do not believe in the idea, then I cannot believe in an idea that you, the holder of the idea, does not believe in.
All things considered, technology magazine Tech Cabal puts Kenya in second place continentally in terms of value and volume of fundraising after 20 startups raised over 22 billion shillings, which is about 19.9% of the global total as of March 1st, 2022, rising from the 4th position in 2021. Alan Auko, Tech One.
After the death of her father, Husna Latia had to learn a skill that would help support her education and assist her mother in fending for the family. Latia enjoys baking cakes and making delicious Swahili snacks, an interest that motivated her to shake off a course in air ticketing and instead enroll for training in pastry. Aged 22, Latia is now an entrepreneur and practicing her skill from her mother's kitchen, as our reporter Ann Buru tells us tonight on The Young and Industrious.
This kitchen is Husna Latia's little haven where she enjoys baking and making snacks. We find her busy making orders for a party. She then briefs us on what led to the birth of Latia Baking and Snacks House.
Mimi nimekuzwa katika mtaa wa Majengo. Nimelelewa kwa shida, nimekula chumvi nyingi. Nimempoteza babangu nikiwa miaka 15. nikabidi nijikaze kisabuni ili kusimama nami kumsaidia mamangu na ndugu zangu wadogo zangu katika shule, katika kuwahimiza kusoma na vile vile pia kuwasaidia kulipa ada zao pia za shule.
Husna then walks us through the benefits she has continued to reap from her passion for baking and making of the Swahili snacks.
Biashara yangu imenisaidia kufanya savings zangu, kulipa ada ya shule yangu na vile vile pia kujiendeleza na pia kununua vitu vyangu mwenyewe vya kutumia.
Being a young girl with her potential, she has become a role model to most of her peers in Majengo area Mvita constituency who have on several occasions asked her to teach them the skill.
Sasa kuna wengine ambao wameitisha darasa ambao nafundisha keki, lakini nilikuwa nataka muda fulani niweze kujipanga ili nianze kuanzisha darasa zangu za kupika keki.
Her mother is her role model.
Nimeanza kazi ya upishi wangu nikiwa mdogo. Nimepata ujuzi kutoka kwa mama yangu kwa sababu pia yeye pia ni mpishi. Nimeiga kwake kwa kila alichokuwa akipika, mimi nilikuwa nikiangalia na nikipata ujuzi zaidi.
Aiming for more clientele, Husna has launched a YouTube channel and other social media platforms to market and sell her products.
Kando na kuoka keki, vile vile ni kama an influencer kwa Instagram yangu, vile vile nafanya video zangu kwa YouTube na watu wengi wanataka kuwa kama vile mimi. Kuna venye ambao mimi wanawa-inspire wawe kama mimi.
Her mother, Hadija Ali, who is always by her side, is proud of her daughter and urges parents to support their children in their chosen ventures.
Ningependa kuambia ikiwa mtoto amemaliza kusoma na ikiwa hauna pesa kumwendeleza kusoma, siku hizi kuna ujuzi mwingi sana wa mikono. Hasa hapa Mombasa naona kuna ujuzi sana ambao mtoto, wasichana wengi ambao wanataka kufanya. Kuna salon na baking. Hizo kazi za mikono ndio zinaweza kusaidia sana. Maana mtoto unaweza kumsomesha, mwisho wa kuisha asipate kazi, abaki na certificate yake nyumbani, lakini akifanya kazi ya mkono ataendelea kimaisha.
She calls on the youth to embrace skills, especially those anchored in their line of interest.
Tukiangalia kwa sasa hakuna kazi. Itakuwa bora zaidi kama rais akishinda, kama ni Raila ama yoyote atakayeshinda, atakijaribu kushinda, ape vijana wapate kujiendeleza. Mimi nikiwa mmoja wapo, niko tayari kuwasaidia vijana wenzangu kwa kufanya kazi za mikono.
For Young and Industrious from Mombasa County, I am Ann Mburu.
Ili kupata huo ni upendo kama sikiza tune kwenye simu yako, bonyeza *811 *817#.
Sio lazima uwe na hela nyingi ama uwe tajiri mkubwa, uwe na fedha nyingi ndio uweze kumsaidia mtu. Hapana, kidogo utakachopata ama kidogo ulichonacho, mgawie. Mfanye mwingine pia afurahie. Umpatie tabasamu.
Kupata huo ni upendo kama sikiza tune, bonyeza *811 *817#. *811 *817#.
Now, good evening. As always, it is always an honor to have your company for KBC Sports with me, Richard Munga. Now, let's get underway with our top story tonight, whereby tennis star Angela Okutoyi and rally driver Mikray Kimathi have been recognized by the Sports Journalists Association of Kenya for being the best sports persons for the months of January and February 2022, respectively. The two received their awards today morning at an award ceremony held in Nairobi, which also saw the association sign a one-year contract extension with electronics company LG.
Tennis star Angela Okutoyi and rally driver Mikray Kimathi are the LG best sports persons of the months of January and February, respectively. Okutoyi, who has done a January double after winning the same award for the month of January 2021, was awarded an LG washing machine, having beaten Valencia 10-kilometer champion Daniel Simiyu, rugby player Vincent Onyala, and athlete Nora Jeruto.
My goals for 2022 is to see myself finish with a really good WTA ranking and to also finish with a really good juniors ranking.
Mikray Kimathi, who received an LG refrigerator for being the best sports person of February, became the first Kenyan to finish a rally on snow at the WRC Sweden. He finished the WRC 3 category in third position and fourth in the junior WRC. To win the prize in February, Kimathi defeated Soya winner Ferdinando Manyala, wheelchair basketballer Milton Ilahuya, catchball player Lavender Zawadi, Helen Obiri, and Collins Kipruto.
I'm very passionate about motorsports. Rallying is my passion. So that's something that I'm really keen to pursuing. I really want to become the first African to become world champion. So that's something that we're working towards.
At the same time, SJAC signed a contract renewal with LG company for another 1 year until December 2022. The sponsorship deal comes at a time when LG and SJAC celebrate 7 years in partnership.
Together with LG, I think we share an ambition of creating opportunities for athletes at all levels and ensuring all athletes enjoy enabling environment. LG awards are about all sports and does not matter where you are. The discipline, people talk about small sports, but as we look at every sport, so long as the only secret is for you to perform.
We commit to investing 60 million Kenyan shillings in cash in kind. Our long-term goal for this new view is to giving students and youth within community teams a new hope of hone their skills in multiplying competitive sports while informing the team of the new career pathways emerging with the sports market.
Other recent winners of the monthly award include Olympic champions Eliud Kipchoge and Peres Jepchirchir, basketballer Taylor Okari, and boxer Elia Joey.
Meanwhile, Kenya bagged 2 medals last evening in the ongoing Dubai World Para-Athletics Grand Prix in the United Arab Emirates. Nancy Chelagat Koech won a gold medal in the 400 meters T11 race in a time of 1 minute 4.25 seconds, beating Ishwari Nishad of India to the second spot. Salcedo Rodriguez of Colombia had won the race but was later disqualified, handing Kenya a gold medal. Chelagat clinched 2 gold medals at the previous edition of the event, and she was the only athlete who won a medal for Kenya at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. In the javelin wheelchair F57, Kenya's James Mangirere finished second to win silver behind winner Mohamed Muhammad of Syria. Saksha Yimbangchang of Thailand was third. The 4-day global event comes to a close today in Dubai. Two other matters now. Government, academia, the sports fraternity converged in Eldoret to chart the way forward on how to integrate their roles for the growth of sports in the country. The forum was organized by the Koitalel Samoei University College in collaboration with Finland's Tampere University of Applied Sciences.
Kenya has had a long history of sporting success in athletics, hockey, volleyball, and of late, sevens rugby.
Nilipimwa hospitalini, kabainika nilikuwa na TB.
Nilianza matibabu ya TB mara moja. Nilimeza dawa zangu bila kukosa kwa muda unaofaa, kama nilivyoshauriwa na daktari.
The first step to happiness is falling in love with yourself. Naomi Wamboi Ng'ang'a is a Kenyan actress and entrepreneur.
Because kama wako na nguo za plus size, watanipeleka maternity side. I want to create a business that caters for the plus size women all around it. Talk of hair, everything, one-stop shop for plus size women.
Pata matibabu bila malipo katika hospitali zote za umma. Tujijali, tumalize TB. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na Wizara ya Afya na washirika wake.
Na ndio kutafuta pesa. Na ndio hiyo kitu nakwambia. Hiyo ni tamaa.
Nikiambia hii mbwenya, mimi nilikuwa kigonyi wa senke. Sawa? Alafu Ondiekde ndio anakuanga sagara wa misimi. Naweza kwa nimewatupanisha.
Umeelewa ni nini anasema?
I don't know you. You don't know me.
Unamaanisha nini?
You don't know each other.
Unanirada.
Unamjua. Sasa unauliza nini?
Nauliza kana nina huo.
Mimi hapa nataka hiyo, mimi iko big boss, hata bana yangu iko big boss hapa tukafanya chori dogo na mnayo. Bas mama hiyo tu.
Na master toka uende. Huyo mtu ambaye siku hiyo alikuta commotion.
Jumapili hii kwenye runinga ya KBC, ungana naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wakati asubuhi.
Ningetaka nikwambie, our Jehovah God, because the Bible says he is the same yesterday, today and forevermore. He is able to take you to a place of abundance. He is able to take you to Rehoboth in the name of Jesus Christ.
Kipindi ni neno la neema, ukiletewa naye Askofu Michael Wanderi wa kanisa la Christian Foundation Fellowship Kiambu. Usikose.
A live testimony of a town so determined to hold on to its medal, an award achieved more by default than through intentioned efforts. Busia, Boda Town, the undisputed birthplace of Boda.
Ni ule ambaye alikuwa anabeba mizigo. Kuna ile gunia mrefu ambaye inaitwa ya mlolongo, wimbi, mahindi na muogo. Kwa hivyo nilianza na ile kazi mwaka 2002, nikawa nafanya hiyo kazi wakati undersize marufuku ikitoka Uganda ya samaki ikanitoa kwa hiyo biashara ya kubeba mizigo. Museveni masharti ikawa ngumu, watu wa baisikeli tukaanza kuteswa kulingana na ile kazi tulikuwa tunafanya. Nikaanza kazi ya bodaboda ya watu.
The use of the public service transport, commonly known as boda, emerged along this Kenya-Uganda border in the 1960s. That time, only bicycles were in use, The bicycles would be used to ferry traders smuggling goods along the Kenya-Uganda border, hence the coining of the word boda. It is an adaptation of the English word boda, which cyclists shouted when beckoning passengers. Decades later, in the 1990s, came an upgrade, the motorcycle. Initially, the motorbikes were not as many due to the high cost of importation. In 2008, there was an influx when President Mwai Kibaki's government zero-rated duty on motorcycles below 250cc.